Hey everyone, welcome back to Jungkook News. What if I told you that the world is already calling Jungkook a global pop star, but he doesn't fully believe it yet? At the peak of his solo success, when records are being broken and fans everywhere are celebrating him as a true star, Jungkook gives an answer that no one expected: honest, raw, and surprisingly emotional. So what is he really feeling behind all that fame, and why does he still think he's not there yet? Stay with me, because this story reveals a side of Jungkook that might completely change the way you see him. There's something quietly powerful about the way Jungkook speaks when the spotlight feels the brightest, and this moment is no exception. At a time when the world is already calling him a global pop star, when charts, records, and sold-out performances seem to confirm it, his response takes an unexpected turn. Instead of embracing the title, he pauses, almost as if weighing the meaning behind it. And what he reveals isn't confidence wrapped in fame, but something far more human. He admits, in the most honest way, that he doesn't quite see himself as a pop star yet. Not fully, not completely. And that hesitation isn't weakness, it's depth. Because while the world measures success through numbers and recognition, Jungkook seems to measure it differently. For him, being a star isn't just about how others see you, it's about whether you truly feel it within yourself. And right now, he's still chasing that feeling. What makes this even more striking is the contrast. Fans across the globe already celebrate him as one of the biggest solo artists of his generation. Every release becomes a moment, every performance an event. Yet behind all of that, there's someone who still feels like he has more to prove. Someone who isn't rushing to claim a title, but instead choosing to grow into it step by step, quietly, sincerely. And then there's the gratitude. You can hear it in his words, the way he acknowledges how fans see him, how they've elevated him to that level in their hearts. He doesn't dismiss it, in fact, he treasures it. But instead of letting it define him, he turns it into motivation. A reason to keep improving, to keep pushing forward, to become better than he was yesterday. Not for the image, not for the label, but for himself. This is what makes the moment feel so real. Because in an industry where many are quick to accept titles and expectations, Jungkook steps back and says, "Not yet." And in doing so, he reveals a mindset that goes beyond fame. It's about self-awareness. It's about growth. It's about earning your own belief, not just the world's applause. There's also something deeply relatable in that feeling, wanting to reach a point where you can finally say, "I've made it," and truly mean it. Even when everyone around you already believes you have. Jungkook stands in that space right now between who he is and who he believes he can still become. And instead of pretending he's already there, he chooses honesty. And maybe that's why fans connect with him even more. Because behind the global success, behind the polished performances and massive achievements, there's still that same person who's striving, learning, and evolving. Not chasing validation, but chasing a personal standard that only he can define. In a way, this isn't just about whether he calls himself a pop star or not. It's about the journey of becoming. And right now, Jungkook isn't focused on the title at the finish line, he's focused on every step it takes to get there. And if you look closer, this mindset didn't just appear overnight. Jungkook has always carried a quiet sense of responsibility toward his growth. From his early days stepping onto the stage at a very young age, to now standing alone as a solo artist in front of the world, there's been a consistent pattern: he never settles. Even when others celebrate him, he's already thinking about what comes next, what can be improved, what still feels incomplete. There's a certain pressure that comes with being seen as the standard. Every move is watched, every release is analyzed, every achievement raises expectations even higher. And yet, instead of letting that pressure define him, Jungkook transforms it into something personal. He doesn't chase perfection for the audience alone, he chases it for his own sense of fulfillment. That's why the title pop star feels like more than just a label to him. It's something that has to be earned internally, not just given externally. What's even more compelling is how this perspective shapes his artistry. You can sense that every performance, every vocal delivery, every detail, carries intention. It's not just about impressing people in the moment, it's about building something lasting. Something that, one day, he can look back on and genuinely feel proud of, without hesitation, without doubt. And maybe that's the difference between being called a star and truly feeling like one. For Jungkook, it's not about reaching a certain level of fame, it's about reaching a level of self-recognition. A point where he can stand still, look at everything he's done, and finally say, "This is enough. I've become who I wanted to be." Until that moment comes, he keeps moving forward, quietly, steadily, with the same determination that brought him this far. And in that journey, fans aren't just watching a global artist succeed, they're witnessing someone continue to grow in real time. And as this journey continues, there's an unspoken understanding between Jungkook and the people who support him. Fans may celebrate his achievements loudly, streaming his music, filling arenas, pushing every release to the top, but at the same time, they seem to recognize something deeper within him. They see not just the finished image of a global star, but the ongoing story of someone still shaping his identity, still defining what success truly means on his own terms. That connection creates a unique kind of energy. It's not built solely on admiration, it's built on trust. Trust that every step Jungkook takes is genuine, that every word he shares comes from a real place. And moments like this only strengthen that bond, because instead of presenting a perfect, untouchable version of himself, he allows people to see the uncertainty, the ambition, the quiet determination that drives him forward. There's also a subtle courage in admitting you're not there yet, especially when the world insists that you already are. It takes confidence to say that out loud, to resist the pressure of expectations and stay honest with yourself. And in doing so, Jungkook sets a different kind of example, not just as an artist, but as someone navigating growth in a very public space. He shows that it's okay to keep striving, to keep questioning, to keep evolving, no matter how far you've already come. In the end, this moment isn't about denying success, it's about redefining it. It's about understanding that titles don't always reflect personal truth. And for Jungkook, the journey toward becoming a pop star isn't measured by charts or headlines, but by a feeling he hasn't fully reached yet. A feeling he's still working toward, step by step, until one day it finally feels real. So what do you think about Jungkook's honest perspective? Do you agree with him, or do you believe he's already a true pop star? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any updates from Jungkook News. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.